What's up, Hofstra fans? Matt Durant here with the WB Mason Coaches Report, joined now each and every week of the spring schedule with head coach of the Hofstra Pride softball team, Larissa. Coach, just how is Florida?
Florida's great. You know, it's great to be on dirt, to get to see live pitching, to play the quality teams that we did this weekend. We're getting better. Every time we're out there, we're doing little things better than we did the game before, which is a good sign. We still have a ways to go.
Well, you look at just your overall assessment of both tournaments combined. Now you've seen some of the new contributors up at the plate, on the mound. What have you liked from the newer players?
I like that they're making adjustments. They're understanding the level that we're playing at, and they're learning. And I think the biggest thing is they're getting experience, and that's something that I keep explaining to the team, that seniors and upperclassmen are so great because they have so much experience, and we need to get those young players as much experience as possible so then they can take information from that and get better as the year goes on.
Well, so far throughout the season, you've had big days at the plate from Kim Smith, Corinne Bailey as well. Also, some of the returning freshmen, now sophomores, Brittany Alaka and Brielle Petrofessa. What have you seen in their game as far as growing from last season?
I think it's their playing experience last year that is giving them the edge. They're veteran players because they did earn that starting role last year, and you can see that they're so much more comfortable in the batter's box. You know, they're right now they're in the middle of the lineup, which is amazing for sophomores. And they're getting better at bats. They know what they're capable of doing. They're not trying to do too much, which is what a lot of young players do, is they try to overswing, or they try to create environments or situations that it's not coming to them, and they're really letting the game come to them.
How much of that at the plate, those developments, do you think has been to the credit of Elise Fortier?
Oh, absolutely. She's been phenomenal. She sits there, and when you watch her coach, she's in the dugout, and she's in every pitch and every moment, and she's talking to them through their entire at-bat, and she really has added a tremendous amount to our offense.
What have you seen now that you've seen a small sample size between Elise Fortier and you have the returning in Julie Meyer, as well as yourself, second-year head coach? How do you think the coaching staff is going to mesh this year as opposed to in your first year as head coach?
The same thing with return players. We have return coaches. You know, with Elise having 1 year under her belt at Florida Atlantic, and then Julie 2 years here, it's that familiarity. It's the understanding, the expectations of working with me, knowing that what we need to do as a staff and in our dynamics, and how we need to manage the team the best of our ability. And that was probably the biggest transition for me taking over the program, is I didn't have the Hall of Famer, you know, by my side managing the game as I called the pitches. So it was getting my coaches to understand that their role, you know, rather than being spectators and just watching the ball, they have to manage the game and watch the entire team all the time.
Well, while you were down in Florida, one of the things to watch seemed to be the pitching staff. Now, no more Morgan Lashley or Taylor Perrone. It's sort of the second sample of the season that you've got to see how the pitchers meld. Now, it seems like the offense picked up a little bit of slack in some games, but there were other games where they just looked stellar in the circle. What have you seen from the pitchers so far this year?
I think you hit the nail on the head with our offense. Our offense is really going to set the tone because we have so much experience. And the more pressure our offense puts on the opponent, the less pressure our pitchers are going to feel. And that's really going to be the key to our success this year because our pitching staff is so young. The good thing that I'm seeing is not a lot of teams, with the exception of Marshall, not a lot of teams are hitting the ball hard off of us. You know, every once in a while, like Jess Peslek let the ball over the plate in 2 occurrences, and they both hit out of the park, which is going to happen. You know, we can't expect our pitchers to throw every single pitch absolutely perfect all the time. We have to supply some run support. But what's been good is they're not getting the ball hit hard. What's not good is the number of walks that we're letting up. So you can have it both ways. If your pitcher's going to miss, do you want them to miss dead red and have the ball leave the park, or do you want them to miss as a ball, and then that's when our walk total is increasing. So Grimm obviously has to keep the walks down, and at the same time she threw no hitter with too many walks. So we have to try to find that balance, and we're willing to work through it. And you know, with the defense that we have, the support system that she has behind her, it's just getting that familiarity. And I think the biggest thing for her right now is she needs to keep throwing on dirt. I mean, there's such a difference throwing on a gym floor as opposed to being out on that mound. And we just have to keep putting her in situations, which is why I'm leaving her in longer than I probably should.
You saw some contributions at the plate from some of the players you didn't see much last year, but that were on the staff, Alyssa Kozzola and Nikki Michalowski. How much do you think they can impact this team in their first years really truly contributing?
You know, it's great because throughout our entire lineup, and also the people that are in the bench and on the dugout, is we have so much depth. And I can really manage the game based on our opponent. Is it a righty or lefty pitcher? Do they have a lot of speed? What is the best lineup that I can put in to be the most successful? And if one person is having a bad day or a bad weekend, I know that there's 3 or 4 people in the dugout that can easily fill in while we get through those bumps, on the road. Putting Larissa in certain situations was phenomenal, and I really look to the depth that we have right now to really contribute a lot.
Now, while you're down in Florida, how much do you look at the rest of the CAA to see how they're performing out of conference?
I pay attention. I want to know how they're doing because we need the CAA to do well overall. I want them to be competitive because it just makes our conference much more competitive. So I'm really happy with the success that JMU had this past weekend. That's phenomenal for our conference. We continually say that we're the best mid-major conference in the country, and everyone is proving that they can play a very competitive schedule.
Well, now you say you look at JMU, that's sort of the team to beat for you since you were picked number 2, even though you're the reigning champions now. It seems like there could be a chip on the shoulder as far as trying to prove that you are better than them in conference, but throughout all of non-conference, what's the main thing you think you have to focus on where you can jump over them once CAA play starts later in the season?
We don't worry about JMU. We worry about every game that we play to make sure that we're playing to our standard. It doesn't matter if we're playing JMU or if we're playing a midweek game here at home. We just want to make sure that we're playing the best ability that we can all the time. We don't want to get caught up in who we're playing and where we're playing because a ground ball is a ground ball. So if we pick up a ground ball, in the gym or in the bubble or at Hofstra or, in the College World Series, it's still a ground ball. So we have to make sure that we take care of what we do.
Just in the coming games between Florida and what's upcoming, do you see any changes coming, or are you sort of set with what you've seen so far?
I'm confident in what I see. I know that we have a lot of room for improvement. We got to get our pitchers going. We got to be a little bit more competitive and not give up so many free bases. We're letting too many leadoff batters get on base, which really puts a lot of pressure on our defense to make sure that we're making more plays than we need to. That's probably the biggest thing we need to cut down is the free bases that we're giving up.
She's the head coach of the Hofstra Pride softball team. I'm Matt Durant. Tune in next week for more of the WB Mason Coaches Report.